back. At this point, we are looking at iterations and we have seen certain complicated codes with several lines. It would be helpful if we started building our own files. Yeah. So at this point, I'll introduce you. So here is your Python shell, your interpreter. You go while this is while the idle is live, go to its file and say new file. It gives you a blank page. Okay, this is very useful. So let me say when I write hash, it becomes red. That means it's a comment. Okay, I will say my first file. Correct. So let's call it example1 .py. So name of, so this hash symbol is very useful for you to write some pieces of information. Okay, so which of course does not trouble the compiler. Now suppose I want to write this code for count in range 10, 0, -1. Aha, so let me try that. For count in range 10, 0, -1. Don't forget colon. That's part of the syntax. Print count. And then notice how it automatically indents for me, right? But I don't want an indent. I want this print to be unindented. So I use the back button or delete button and I say print blast off. Let's understand, let's see what we expect, right? Range, if you remember, start, stop, step. Notice my start is 10, stop is 0, and step is negative. So I'm starting from a high number, going until 0, but I will not touch 0 with a step of -1. So I'm going down one step at a time. I'm going to print whatever that number I get, right? I'm going through the, so count is initially going to be 10, next it's going to be 9, next is going to be 8, and so on. Then print blast off. How do I save it? Control S or Command S, okay? Or I can always go there and save. Right now it's going to ask me a few questions, but let's see. It's asking me to save as. So here is a place where I have opportunity. So I'm going to call it example1. Notice it's going to be a .py file automatically. So it's asking me where should I save it. I don't want to save it in the cloud. Oops. I want to save it in my Dropbox. I'm looking at my teaching folder, CSI31. I'm going to look at my lecture. This is lecture 5. Let me save it there. Okay. So it's saved on my Dropbox folder, teaching, CSI31, lecture 5. So example1.py got saved there. Let's run this. So how do I run it? Here it is. Run module. Okay. 10, 9, all the way until 1 as we expected, because the start, stop is never included. Then it prints blast off. Now, suppose I don't want 10, I want 15. So it's that easy to fix it. I don't have to type this again and again because it's just in a file. Command S or Control S to save it. and now run it. It started at 15, went on until 1, blast off. Now suppose I don't indent the blast off. I indent it, okay? So this is a commonly made mistake, okay? Many people get confused. Why? What's going on? Here is the output if you indent blast off. So blast off is getting repeated. Why? Because it's part of the body. All right, it's part of the body of the for loop. Okay, so it's very easy to figure out if you have a file how to improve. File also helps you write long pieces of code. Okay, so now here is another example. Groceries is milk, cheese, bread, cereal. For position in the range length groceries, give me a label that is 1 plus position string plus. What is that? That's concatenation. I'm going to take this, concatenate a dot, that label plus the groceries in that position. Let's see what's going to happen here. I'm going to use the same example, but I no longer want this. So what do? I hash it out. I hash out these lines. Okay, now those lines will not get compiled. So in the same file, I can continue writing. Milk, cheese, bread, cereal. Okay, for position in range length of groceries, make a label. Label is the string of 1 plus position. Why 1 plus? Because the range begins from 0 onwards. So if I want that to be the first item, it is at present 0. I need to add 1. So label is take 1, add it to position, that number, convert it to string because I am going to concatenate with the dot. Okay, that's my label. Print label, whatever label I have, and concatenate it with groceries in position. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen here. Okay, save and now run. 1 is milk, 2 is cheese. So notice that concatenation means I have no space there. All right. Now this is the advantage of something using a file for even small pieces of code. I want more space. Say I'll keep 1 space before the dot, 2 spaces after the dot. Now let's run it. Save and then run it. You see, 1 space before the dot, 2 spaces up. It has a better look. All right. So that's one way. Okay. Now, these 2 codes, why don't you try on your own and check what's happening? Okay. Until next lecture, make sure you try this in a file. Try this in a file. All right. See what happens. Until next lecture then.